إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلوات الله والسلام عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن اتبع سنته إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد. In just 2 weeks' time, collectively as a community, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, we are going to be celebrating the day of Ashura. Now this day of Ashura was a day wherein the Prophet ﷺ, when he came to Al-Medina, he found the Jews celebrating this day. And when he asked them, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, why are you guys fasting on this day? And they said that we're fasting on this day to commemorate when Bani Israel, the Israelites, were saved from Pharaoh in the Exodus. But also this day, Ashura, marks the day in which Prophet Nuh alayhi salam was freed, or the waters of the flood had come to an end, and the ark had been placed on Mount Judy. And so this is a time in which it has many different benefits and many different things for us as a community, commemorating these historic events. But just taking a glimpse at the story of Prophet Nuh alayhi salam, we'll find that this is an epic tragedy of biblical proportions. This is a story that is found across all Abrahamic traditions. It's found in the Hebrew Bible, the Old Testament, which is used by both the Jews and the Christians, and it's obviously found in our Quran. And Prophet Nuh alayhi salam was a simple man. Before revelation, before becoming a prophet, he was neither the leader of his people, nor was he a person of high standing or of wealth. And why is this important to the story? Because Prophet Nuh didn't come with a silver spoon in his mouth, for lack of better words. Prophet Nuh didn't come from a high standing wherein he could order his people to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and they would immediately accept his message. But Prophet Nuh was an ordinary person, one just like the rest of his people with regards to social standing. But then, once he received revelation, he then embarked on a mission to fulfill the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He embarked on a mission to call his people to Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, to the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And his embarkment upon this mission, his trying to fulfill the commandment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, did not come easy. As we know, Prophet Nuh alayhi salam made da'wah to his people. He called his people to the worship of Allah and Allah alone for 950 years. Now, 950 years is more than 10 times the length of our average lifespan of today. So think about that. Our entire lives times 10 plus some more he spent calling his people to La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. And he didn't just spend it like a 9 to 5, for lack of better words. He didn't do it haphazardly. He didn't do it just half-heartedly. He did it with passion. He did it with commitment. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about Prophet Nuh, he said, I called my people night and day. I called my people in secret and in public. He spent his entire time trying to call his people to Allah. One way didn't work. He renewed his intention and tried another way. This method wasn't successful. He tried another way. He spent his entire mission trying to call his people to the oneness of Allah. And there are many different benefits that we can take from this and this alone. The first and foremost, that he was persistent. Like we mentioned about our mother Hajar, he was persistent. When he knew something was a betterment to himself, when he knew this was going to make him better, because Prophet Nuh also was an abdan shakura. He was also a humble and grateful slave to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we have to assume that his calling people to La ilaha illallah wasn't for their good and their good alone. More importantly, it was because he was fulfilling a commandment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He was trying to uphold that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made obligatory upon him. So in his persistence, he was trying to constantly achieve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure. And in his persistence, he was also resilient. 950 years is not a small part of time. He continued night and day, in public and in private, going to the people of higher social status and going to the people of low social status. He didn't let anything stop him from fulfilling what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made obligatory upon him. But also, he was incredibly hardworking. 950 years of persistence and resilience, night and day, public and private. This undoubtedly was hard on himself and his family. This was something that required sacrifice. This was something that required immense sincerity and commitment to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He never gave up on the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded him to build an ark. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded him to build a massive and humongous ship because a flood was coming. And when the floods finally came, fulfilling the commandment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and making true the prophecy that he had been telling his people, this was something of epic proportions. This was something that even imagining can be frightening and scary to us. Imagine when we have, whether it's a thunderstorm or flood season comes in different cultures and different environments, we're talking about darkness, thunder, lightning, strong winds, usually cold temperatures, chaos and commotion, things being flipped up, trees being unroofed, houses being blown over. So we have a flood now coming. Prophet Nuh alayhi salam, his people are seeing a flood come and the water is going higher than higher before. It's reaching a proportion where they had never seen. And in this, Prophet Nuh gathered his people to then embark and to get into the ark, gathering his people and animals and mates so that they can have salvation. But Prophet Nuh noticed that his son, his biological and blood son, wasn't amongst them. And until this time, Prophet Nuh alayhi salam thought his son was a believer. He thought he was a part of the community. He thought he was a supporter of the message. But when this came, things changed. And he told his son, get on the ship, come to safety, be with us. And his son replied, I'm going to climb to the mountain because that's where I'm going to be saved. His son used logic. I'm going to get on this mountain to the highest part and I'll have safety. And Prophet Nuh called upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to save his son. He said, Ya Allah, save my son. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, no, today he's not your son. And Prophet Nuh responded humbly to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said, A'udhu billah, I seek refuge in you from asking for that which I don't know. Again, humble. And he watched his son be swallowed up by these massive waves. And he had to continue on the ark. For some say 3 months, others say 7 months, some say 10 months living in this magnificent ship. Brothers and sisters, this was not something simple. Just having winds and thunders now scares many people in our communities. Think about those who are suffering from homelessness, who don't have houses when rain comes down, or in New England when it's snowing, or the weather changes rapidly. Imagine being amongst the people who have never seen this before. And then imagine you being commanded by Allah to build this ship. You've been given a challenge to uphold something that no one has ever done before. Better that, you don't have the skills and the tools to do it. We're not talking about today where we have bulldozers and cranes and trucks and all these other adawat, all these other tools to help make a ship. Prophet Nuh alayhi salam had none of that. He didn't have the skill set, nor did he have the tools to do this. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that He inspired him how to make this. So fulfilling the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, being chastised, being told that he was crazy, he fulfilled the commandment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he did it again with commitment, with resilience, not being deterred by the naysayers and those who wanted other than success for him. He pursued ahead. And then being faced with this scary scene in front of him, he still persisted. And then being responsible for 80 perhaps people on your ship, having this on his shoulders in proverbial terms, being now entrusted with this. His own son isn't from amongst them. And then his son is using logic. If we're talking about empirical relativism, going to the highest of a mountain makes much sense for a man who doesn't know how to make a ship when thunder and storm is coming. He's using his brain. A plus B equals C. But Prophet Nuh alayhi salam wasn't using this empirical, just this plus that equals that. He knew that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Rabbul Alameen. He knew that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was Khaliqu kulli shay. He knew that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was the Lord of everything in the heavens and the earth and the creator of everything. So in that, he knew no matter what we may think is going to be the outcome, no matter what may look like this is going to be the natija, this is going to be the result, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to fulfill His commandment. So in this scenario, logic no longer restricted them and guided them in the right way. Rather, they had to turn their logic to more profound maxims that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will fulfill His wa'd, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will fulfill His covenant. And that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said something must be, then this is actually better for than us. This is actually what's going to help us in the long run. And in all of that, seeing his own son die and drown, not just die, but drown in front of him, obviously is a very painful sight. But he was entrusted with 80 people and animals of their mates to be on this ship for a very long time. And so they continued in their aimless voyage, aimless in our sight. There was no destination other than trusting in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, knowing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knew what was best, and they had completely submitted and turned things over to Him. So on this ship, now for 3, 7, 10 months of time, not knowing where they're going or where they're going to end up, not knowing what's going to be outside the ship once the storm subsides. Now things come to an end. Now the storm subsides. They stay on the boat for an extra month after it gets placed on the top of the mountain. And they come off and the world is forever changed. It's only them and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now they have to start again. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends a wind to calm the waters. Allah sends a wind to calm the waters and to dry the lands. And they are now starting their new life. But Prophet Nuh didn't just say Alhamdulillah. Prophet Nuh didn't just say superficially as we perhaps do, Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar, all praise is due to God, God is great. He committed himself to fast for an entire year afterwards, in gratitude for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala freeing them from this time. A year, every single day, in shukr to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So brothers and sisters, when things look meek to us, when we are placed in a situation where we have commandments from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, We have to be honest. We have to be morally upright. We have to pray. We have to fast. We have to now orient our days, waking up very early so that we can worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No matter what the commandments may be, we're placed in a challenge where I now have to choose between my own goodness and well-being and that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is commanding me with. We have to now summon the spirit of Prophet Nuh alayhi salam. We now have to turn back to the Quran in this prophetic story, and we have to find hope. But we have to realize that in this story, the success and the hope, just like our mother Hajar, was not from anything that Nuh alayhi salam did. It wasn't from climbing to the top of the mountain. It wasn't from the ship in and of itself, because had Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to swallow it up, He could have easily. It wasn't from the food that they placed on the ship. It was nothing other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who wanted for this to be that way. And Prophet Nuh knew that. Prophet Nuh was not a man of ego as we are today. He was a prophet, a messenger of God, who in that turned to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by fasting for an entire year. So brothers and sisters, when we're faced with trials, we can't give up. When we're faced with difficulty, we have to turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala like Nuh did in supplication. We have to turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asking Him to bring salvation, to bring hope, to bring success, to bring prosperity from whatever situation we may be in. Whether that's in times of goodness. Prophet Nuh had the ark. He knew that he was going to fulfill the covenant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He knew that he was going to be okay, but his son wasn't. But he also made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to direct his son to goodness. But he also was incredibly humble. He knew that by making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah at the end of the day was the one who was going to bring about the natija. He knew that no matter what he did, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had the best success, and is where he'll find success, So ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to be like Prophet Nuh alayhi salam, to allow us to have a firm, committed belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that gets us through any storm and any difficulty we may have. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to place in our hearts an ark, a magnificent ship of belief and trust in Him that never weathers, no matter what the circumstance or situation may be. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to, no matter what the situation may be, no matter what we're tried with, to enable us to be forbearant, to enable us to be strong, to enable us to be pious and have iman in Him to go and persevere through the storm. وأقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين واستغفروه وأتوب إليه. إن الحمد لله وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده. Brothers and sisters, this story, we have it in the Quran, like all the other stories, as a reminder for us, as a means for us to take benefit from, so that we can implement these same morals and ethics into our own lives, so that we can benefit from these stories and try to exude the same etiquette, the same spirit, the same characteristics that these pious people came before us. But in our own tradition, our own history, we're not talking about taking from the people that came before. In our own example, we have our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We have our Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who gave us wisdoms, as he was Jawami' al-Kalam. He was someone who spoke small words that had magnificent meanings that we can uphold in our lives, that can be our guiding light. The Prophet ﷺ said in a very famous hadith, which I've mentioned probably every khutbah I've been here, because it's my favorite hadith, that sums up the story of Prophet Nuh. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, Al-mu'min al-qawi, خير وأحب إلى الله من المؤمن الضعيف وفي كل خير. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, the strong believer is better and more beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than the weak believer. But there's goodness, and there is goodness rather, because he didn't say but, and there is goodness in every single one. Then he continued on to say, ihris ala ma yanfa'ak. Be diligent. Have zeal with those things that benefit you. Seek the aid of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and do not tire, do not wither away. And do not say, وَلَا تَكُلْ لَوْ فَإِنْ لَوْ كَانَ لِي كَذَا أو كَانَ لِي كَذَا. Do not say if I had that, or this was that way or that way. Because saying if in this way opens a door for shaitan. Or kama qala sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This hadith so profoundly sums up the story of our Prophet Nuh alayhi salam. The Prophet ﷺ, he told us as individuals to have passions, to be committed to higher morals and values. And he told us ﷺ in this hadith that as a community, we are not supposed to be homogenous. As a community, our hearts, yes, are together. But as individuals, we all have passions and desires and wants and things that are good for us that are different than each other. Ihris ala ma yanfa'uka. Be diligent in what benefits you. So brothers and sisters, we have to find what is good for us. We don't unfortunately have wahi in specific nature, in direct terms, telling us what we have to do. We don't know if we're going to be committed to this mission for 950 years, or that we have to build a ship tomorrow. But we have to find what's beneficial to us in our lives, both personally, in our own lives, and spiritually, which obviously concludes and sums up everything, mind, body, and spirit. Because if we don't have a healthy mind, then how we think about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to be deficient. If we don't have a healthy body, then I won't have the energy to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if my heart is not right, then I'll be focused on myself and not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so we have to find where it is that we will find our salvation. What is easiest for us to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and be diligent in that. What is going to be our ticket to Jannah? Figure out what it is, brothers and sisters. Sign on the dotted line and commit. But also the Prophet ﷺ told us that al-mu'min al-qawi khayran wa ahabba ila Allah min al-mu'min al-dha'if wa kullin khayr. That the strong believer is better and more beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than the weak believer, but there's goodness in everyone. Brothers and sisters, we have to be strong as a community and as individuals, both spiritually and physically, both emotionally and psychologically. We have to be strong, but our strength has to be firmly rooted in our sharia, in our morals and ethics that have been taught to us by the Prophet ﷺ. Our strength has to be firmly rooted in love. Our strength has to be firmly rooted in service. Our strength has to be firmly rooted in humility. These words, perhaps in the English language, when we use them, they have an inclination or a subcontext of weakness. Hasha. When I say love, I don't mean I'm loving my brother so I'm going to take in whatever comes at me. No, I love for them to be good. So I love the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so I want the best for them. I love for them to be upright. I love for myself to be in a state that is pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so I work hard and strong and persistent to do what's right. I fight my lower self because I love Allah and I love myself. A few years back, the youth were always talking about YOLO. You only live once. Us as Muslims, our theology about YOLO is that my life is only once and I'm going to meet my Maker. So if I'm only going to live once, I'm going to do the absolute best to make every single day worth it. I'm going to make every single second capitalize so that I can earn Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure because I only live once. We have to be strong, brothers and sisters. When I say service, I don't mean being meek. I don't mean being cowardly. I mean being strong and serving for the sake of Allah. Serving because I need to serve Allah. When I give sadaqah, it's not about because I'm helping this person who's in need. When I give sadaqah, it's because I need to earn Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure. You never know where your teachers will be. As the Prophet ﷺ said, that wisdom is the lost treasure of a believer. So when I'm serving, you never know where I'm going to be taught. Brothers and sisters, just a week ago, my wife and I were going home, and we met a homeless man on Malina Cas. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for all of our brothers and sisters on Malina Cas. And no matter where they may be, whether they be struggling from drug addiction or alcohol addiction or whatever type of addiction it may be. So we said to the man, God bless. Something simple. And this man, subhanAllah, told me something that still to today I'm thinking about. He told me, I'm already blessed. I'm already blessed because today I woke up. He said, all praise is due to Allah. Wallahu a'lam. I don't know if he was Muslim or not. This homeless man who perhaps was suffering from drug addiction. I said God bless to him, thinking that I'm conveying to him something. I'm making a dua for him. And he taught me, I'm already blessed because I woke up today. And alhamdulillah, he didn't say alhamdulillah, he said all praise is due to Allah. And no one can change that. So by him knowing, he praised Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He had a God consciousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then he had a certitude and a belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that no matter what anyone else did, nothing would change him. This is strength, brothers and sisters. This is spirituality, brothers and sisters. And when we serve, we have to have this. Not thinking that we're giving something to help that person, but rather thinking we're giving to help and serve ourselves. And when I say humility, brothers and sisters, I'm talking about humility in the sense that Allahu Akbar, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the greatest and greater than everything. That I am nothing in comparison to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That it's very reasonably possible, and I believe with full conviction, that that homeless man is better than me. Because while he is suffering from homelessness, perhaps suffering from drug addiction, he still had taqwa. He still had tawakkul. That is how we should look at it. He taught me, humble yourself. You think you're doing something good? He was my teacher that day. This is the humility that we have to learn from all of our interactions with people in the community. With our brothers and sisters here, whether we love them or we hate them. But our love and hate should be firmly rooted in what's pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And even for people that we may have something in our heart for. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to remove anything that may be in our hearts for any of our brothers and sisters other than that which is pleasing to Allah. Even for those people, we should want the best for them. Even for those people, I should want Allah to change their hearts. Even for those people, I should want for all of us to be together in Jannatul Firdaus al-A'la. No matter who they may be or who or what they've done to us. Because I don't know where I am with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I don't know if I'm going to reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a high state. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us all reach Him in a high state. So brothers and sisters, in summarizing the story of Prophet Nuh, we have to be passionate, we have to be focused, and we have to be strong. When we find out what our passions is, perhaps it's not what our passion is going to be, but it's just our passion today. I'm going to serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by service. I'm going to be a doctor, an engineer. Perhaps I'm going to be one that gives sadaqah. Perhaps I'm going to be one that prays all night long. No matter what it may be, we then have to be focused. We have to have hirs and dedication to this thing, because this is what is going to bring us Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure. And when we do buckle down and focus on that, we put up our blinders on all distractions, we have to be strong, because this is not going to be easy. Prophet Nuh was a messenger who called his people for 950 years, who built an ark all by himself, who then also fulfilled his obligations to his family. had to watch his own son die in front of him. Time and time again, he was faced with difficulty. And still, what was his status? He fasted. He struggled against himself for an entire year, grateful. A'udhu billah, I seek refuge in you for what I don't know. So brothers and sisters, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us like our Sayyidina Nuh, our beloved Prophet Nuh, and fulfill the commandments of the Prophet ﷺ, and make us be a people of passions, of moral passions and divine passions that are pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and that are morally upright. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to enable us to be focused, to be diligent and focused on that which is going to make us earn His pleasure, subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, once we do find those passions, and we focus and buckle down on that, to give us strength to persevere, to allow us to be focused on the fact that He is the one that we're fighting for, and our own tired, our families, our wealth, our health, none of it matters other than Him. Ya Allah, make us focused on You and You alone. Enable us to be a community of strength, a community of God consciousness at all time, that has no problem standing up for that which is right, standing up to defend Your message, standing up to defend what is morally correct, standing up to defend La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah in a way that is pleasing to You and makes us better people and more beloved to You. And Ya Allah, we ask You to make it easy for all of our brothers and sisters who may be suffering in the community. Wallahi, brothers and sisters, so many people are suffering in our community. Whether it's our brothers and sisters on Medina Cast, whether it's people in this room right now, there are so many people suffering. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make their situation better than our own. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to heal them, to make them better and remove any difficulties they may have. There's a brother named Uwais who just last week or a few days ago lost 2 sons in a car accident. Ya Allah, give him consciousness. Give him the taqwa that Prophet Nuh had when he saw his son drown. Make him strong, make him forbearant, and make this be a means to growing closer to You. We have a brother at MGH right now, the father of Umar Bajwa, Saeed Bajwa, who is in a coma. Ya Allah, give him health, give him strength, bring him back to us, Ya Allah, in a better state than he was going in. And for all our brothers and sisters, whether it be our brothers and sisters in Burma, which we're going to have our halaqah about tonight, our brothers and sisters in Somal, in Palestine, in Syria, in Iraq, in Boston, no matter who may be suffering, Ya Allah, bring us all home to You in a healthy mind and a healthy body. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين وأقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم لسائر المسلمين واستغفروه وأتوب إليه أقيم الصلاة.